What's up, everyone? Gonna run through a video on how to, or how, at least how I pour lead, a bunch of different styles of stuff, and then go through the powder painting process, which I'm gonna do today. I figure it could be a good time to do this. Obviously, it's a great way to save money, especially if you're losing a lot of jigs throughout the year. With these tariffs and stuff, I think things are gonna get quite a bit more expensive, so we will see I guess what happens on that front. But I've been doing this for a number of years. It's great for customizing things that aren't mass produced, great for saving a little bit of coin, and great for, you know, creating like unique colors and stuff that you want for a certain body of water. So here is the process that I go through to do it. All right, so first thing that you're gonna need, lead. I order from a company called Roto Metals online, and I order it in these like little ignits. I think it's easier to use, easier to manage, and I can buy them in bulk. They usually do like some holiday sales and stuff every once in a while. And then the next thing obviously is a melting pot. I use this Lee production pot. You can get several different places, but just put the ignits in there, melt it, and you're ready to go. So once you get that melted and all set up, you're gonna need, I use like a Do It mold. This one's the Arky style jig. Just looks like this. The nice thing about these, I don't know if you can see them, but let's see. You're able to take like a Dremel. You can make these as customizable as you want. If you want them bigger, if you want the head to look a little bit different. I've done that with several different styles before. Literally endless opportunities to make it how you want. All right, so once you get your mold and you pour it, good pair of, or a crappy pair, it doesn't really matter, of needle nose pliers will save your hands being burnt a little bit. You're gonna get your jig heads. So when your jig heads come out, they're gonna look something like that. I mean, depending on what model you use, obviously. This is their newer, like, compact weedless jig, I think. But it's gonna come out looking like this. So you're going to want to paint it, at least most people do. And to do that, I use powder paint, which I'm going to show you now how easy it is to use. Alright, so like I said, I did a little pouring the other night. Got a bunch of jig heads here. Everything for hair jigs that I have a video on, to swim jigs, flipping jigs, things that I want to get better at using active target forward sonar. So I got some like ball heads and round ball heads, things like that that I'm gonna need to paint. So the powder paint that I use is Protec. Comes in a million different colors. Have a few options here, but they just look like this. Usually, if I had batteries in my little bubbler here, which I do not because they died, I use a fluid bed, which I have a video too, which I can link to, that shows you how to build this. Super cheap, but essentially you put your powder in there, hook up your aerator, and it makes it easier to swirl your jig heads in to paint it. Today, since I don't have the batteries, I'm just gonna swirl it from the bottle. Still, it's not that difficult. The fluid bed just makes it a little bit cleaner, but since these are obviously just for me and not doing that many today, I'm not gonna worry about using the fluid beds. So you will need two things to finish this. One, a heat gun. This is just a Wagner one I got from Lowe's or Home Depot. Cheapest one they had, works fine. And then the other thing is a toaster oven. You can get these on like Facebook Marketplace, people giving them away for almost free. And I got this from a sister-in-law. She gave it to me because they weren't using it anymore, and I've been, you know, baking powder paint jig heads in it for a number of years, and it works fine. All right, so I'm gonna be turning the heat gun on. Might get a little bit loud. So I won't talk over it. I'll try to explain afterwards what I am doing. So I will say I'm probably going to need to get some batteries because I don't like the way these are being finished without the fluid head, or fluid bed, sorry. But this, once it comes into focus, you will see, maybe. It just does not look as nice as I would like it. Looks much better coming out of the fluid head. It's not terrible, but you can see there's imperfections, and that just annoys me. So I like using the fluid beds, which I'm going to go run out and get some batteries to make these look a little bit better. But you get the idea that you're swirling the bait in the powder paint after you heat up the jig, swirl it in there. And then usually I'll just give it a quick run past the heat gun again to kind of melt it and you know, smooth it out. The next thing I do is I hang on these, just like the shelf for grate, hang all my jig heads. I'll put all of these in there at once. I believe mine is set to 350. It says it on the bottle, but I think it's 350 for 20 minutes. You bake it. Another good idea, once you powder paint it and you let them hang, before you bake it, good idea is to take a look at the jig and clear out the eyelet. If you bake it with it, it's just a little bit harder to get that out of there. So like in this jig, I did this last round, but you're gonna clear out the eyelet, bake it, and then this particular model is a skirted jig, so it'll need a weed guard applied. So I come back over where the weed guard hole is with a drill and just open that up before I, you know, take some epoxy, super glue, whatever works for you, whatever's the easiest, and put on a weed guard. Then obviously you would trim it down to whatever size you want, and go from there. But this is what one finished looks like before a skirt is added. Like I said, I'll trim it and then I will add a skirt. Alright, so once you get your jig head, it's painted, hardened, cooled down, this particular one doesn't require it, but you know, most of the time you're going to use a skirt with it. So to build a skirt with a rubber band, they do make a little tool. So obviously you're going to want to buy skirt material tabs. They come in thousands of colors, a bunch of different brands make them, and you're going to need some skirt rubber bands. So to put all that together, you're going to need a skirt building tool. It's a couple different pieces, kind of looks like a pen. but it has this like lead or metal tip, plastic tubing, and then a hook that goes up in here. So on the top, the pointed section, you roll down the rubber band so that it's on this part. You then usually twist off this part, twist off the metal pointed end, and stick the hook through it. So at this point you can grab one of the tabs, hook it around it, and pull it through the tube like that. So as you pull that through there, you'll want to do it with whatever construction of the skirt you want it to look like, and then whenever you hit about the middle, you roll the rubber band off and you get some skirting material that you could then put on the jig you just made. So in this case I used like a crawfish color, brown and orange, and then a black, and you can see the rubber band that's roughly in the middle, and you can obviously pull and maneuver this wherever you want it, but it's easier to work with because there's these tabs on it. Yeah, so it's like this, and then before you put it on, usually I will line up my tabs and cut them. So then you get your standard skirting material, what it looks like whenever you buy a store-bought one. Cut the other side. Get your jig. Hook point down through the middle of the barb, or excuse me, the middle of the rubber band, and then you roll it up all the way up to that collar where it sits underneath the weed guard. And it looks somewhat like a jig that you'd buy in stores, just not finished yet. Obviously, weed guard for me is too long. Come up, trim that, not make a mess all over my messy workstation. Here we go, smaller weed guard on it. And skirt in this case on this tiny football jig is too long. So I'll do the same, again trying not to make a mess. I might mess this up a little bit, that's alright. And I have a crawfish imitating finesse football jig. This is obviously one option. This is a skirted jig. The pouring process to make a round head, compact flipping jig, swim jig, football jig, the actual pouring process for the lead is the same, it's just how you're going to finish it. So I would say this one's probably the most complicated because you go from painting it to making sure that the weed guard's in it properly and epoxied or glued in it, to then adding a skirt. So more steps for something like this. Whereas, like what I do, the same would go for a swim jig. You'd finish that the same way, and same for a flipping jig. But like a round ball or the freestyle, which is a different, it's more of like a pill-shaped head. To finish those, I will usually like add marabou to make a like a smallmouth fly. Again, that I have a video too, or you can finish it. A lot of guys are using those hair Miki. It's like you know, ball head, using it for forward sonar, but it has different feathers, whether it be bucktail or what else do they use? Like hackle, soft hackle, to make it look more bait fishy and have movement without having that soft plastic. So you can finish them a bunch of different ways, but primarily that is what I do once I paint them. You know, to finish them, I'll do a bunch of different things, but you're gonna add primarily a skirt or tie in some hair. Some of them I tie in bait keepers, just like pieces of wire, on ones that don't really have it, because I like to have that as opposed to using super glue. But for the most part, I mean, that's end to end how you're gonna do it. You're gonna get a lead melting pot and some do-it molds. Pour them. I have a video on that too. Sometimes they do get clogged and like there's some maintenance on them, but they're pretty low-tech, gravity-fed machines. And I've poured thousands and thousands with mine, and it's still kicking, so you should be able to get your money's worth out of it. But yeah, you're gonna get your lead, get it to a point where you like it, with, you know, taking off some of the residuals that'll come whenever you pour it. Get it to a good spot, powder paint it, ideally with a fluid bed to make it nice and clean. One I have, again, is like $3-4 a piece whenever you buy them at the hardware store and assemble them yourselves. Again, it's not very high tech, but cheap, and they do the job. So you're gonna paint them, throw them into the oven, toaster oven thing. 20 minutes on 350 usually is what it says on here. Pull them out and then finish them with whatever you want. So I don't know. I think this is it's a great winter hobby here in Pennsylvania. Although it's opening day of trout, April 5th. It is it's cold, it's rainy. It's gonna be cold and rainy for a week. So this will be my hobby where I'm finishing up the 100 jig heads or so that I made, that I think I'll use throughout the season. Finish them with some skirts, finish them with some paint, and make them look fancy for a fraction of the cost of the store-bought ones. And hopefully catch some fish here soon if I can get out and the kids let me take the boat for a few hours. So anyways, I thought this video would be helpful, again, with cost rising on everything, save some money, and yeah, hopefully if you have any questions, just shoot me a message on here. Like and subscribe to the video, I would appreciate that. Just got over 1,000 subscribers, so now I'm looking for I think the benchmark is like 4,000 hours watched for the year, and then I can get monetized. So that is the goal. Make an extra 10 bucks a month or something, so that way I can buy more baits. Like, I don't have enough already, but you know, wife lets me keep doing this, so I don't know. I'm still married, but all right, tight lines out there. We'll see you.